What's going on, everybody? This your boy King Gabe here, and here with another history video, history of Juli and Tim Yukoshi from the Yumeko series. Two characters created by my big sis, of course, Casey Hennigan, and also gonna be some mentions of two other characters that she put in here, Julius and Melina. It's not really much on as far as history wise, more so with Julie than anything, and Tim pretty much like later on, it was some stuff we did with him, connected with Julie before now, but yeah, definitely, mostly those two, like I say, connected with each other. Sorry about that there. Um, so yeah, definitely gonna be talking about that. Before we go into this, I just want to let you guys know. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, buy some of our available books, as well as also support us on that Patreon, just like my boy AJ the Supreme. Oh yeah, definitely get on that Patreon and do just like that. Also, don't be afraid to also do some super thanks. Cause trust me, you can do that at any time on any video. Anytime, anytime you want to show a little even more extra love. Show the love and the thanks. So, all right. So, also, a couple other things. Happy. Oh yeah, this is being released on Casey's birthday as a bit of a surprise for her. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Casey. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, big sis. So, yeah, definitely that bit of a shout out there as well. And also the other thing I want to announce is that the first novel of Yumeko should be coming soon. Should have. I just got like a few copies for right now, so that way when they get here, I can show you guys what the book looks like, and once it does, have a little more info as far as how much they are and everything like that. And for us, the other books that like we always be saying, buy our available books that are available. They're basically $7, like Star Striker, Brown Chronicle, Bubblina Comics, and all that. Uh, yeah, $7 each. So plus of course mailing and shipping depending on where you are. Which, like I say, definitely get more detail on that, as well as also more detail on the cost of, like I say, the Amico novels coming in, because I'm still trying to get that together, as far as like how much they're gonna be. So I kind of got somewhat of an idea, but I'm waiting until they get here, and then that way I can confirm that with myself and announce it to you guys. So then you guys will know. Plus, you'll see the book in my hand, so you can have evidence of what you're buying. That way, it won't be like that Evertale app that I've been seeing. It'd be talking about the way they be advertising. I ain't gonna say what's in it, but let's just say it's a really big example of false advertising. So yeah, don't want to be like that. So anyway, let's get into this. So history of Julie and Tim Yukoshi. Much like Hikomakuro, Julie was imagined in the Yu-Gi-Oh series when Casey and I first met. Um, brief, just a little briefing. Just okay, we had met at summer school. I had it was the first time I ever had went to summer school because I didn't do so well on one of my tests and also one of my classes, and pretty much didn't think I was going to get into the ninth grade. But then Case came along. We got to talk that little. Hey, can I sit here and like you look kind of like that brown haired girl from Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, you mean Taya? I get that a lot. and kind of went from there. Started talking about Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, and then that kind of lifted my spirits. Appreciate you for doing that, Case. Uh, kind of lifted my spirits, and kind of like, hey, maybe I can get on to the ninth grade because not also at the same time kind of has something to look forward to, coming to hang with Case and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh. Was able to even get into Yu-Gi-Oh more so because, like I say, I did kind of got into it before I met her, but I didn't understand what I was looking at. But it did look cool, so now I can understand the cool stuff I was looking at. So, yeah, that was that. Had the character, my character in it, of course, was Rudy Rutabaker, but later called Hiko Makuro for the Japanese version, was kind of stuck better for what up to now. As for like Casey's character, uh, Julie pretty much stuck with the Yu-Gi-Oh roleplay as well as also probably a few other things we role played, and then just sort of became like Casey's trademark roleplay character. Yeah, she has come up with a few others, but yeah, Julie really became like a trademark there, sort of like Pikachu the Pokemon. Yeah, so yeah, Pikachu like the mascot. So I guess you could say Julie was like the mascot of Casey's role. Whenever Casey would come up with different role play characters, Julie was pretty much the main mascot there. Especially because of the Yu-Gi-Oh role plays. Where in the Yu-Gi-Oh role plays, she was Seto Kaiba and Mokuba Kaiba's their middle sister. I'm going to assume she was probably like a year younger than Seto, based kind of assuming she's probably like the same age as Yugi and Joey and all them. And Seto was probably like a year older, maybe possibly 2 years older than them. Never know. So yeah, if that was the case, he probably graduated off screen before the rest of the gang. There, if because I would assume, especially, and then plus he a company owner too. Um, and I mean, he could be the same age as them, and again, maybe he graduated off screen earlier than them. You never know, but I kind of for the role plays. Yeah, we I don't think we really thought much about it completely, but yeah, I'm just going to assume for the role plays. Yeah, he's probably like at least a year or two older than the rest of the gang, and of course Julie being right with the gang. So yeah, and then of course Mokuba's pretty much where he's at. Probably anywhere between like I would say 9, 10, or possibly somewhere in middle school there, at the time of the show. So yeah, so Julie was imagined in the role plays just like Hiko was. Um, there was I think pretty much kind of imagine ourselves alongside like how the show originally went, starting with Duelist Kingdom. Of course, Hiko, of course, Yugi defeated Kaiba. Then Pegasus was like, "Greetings, I am Maximilian Pegasus," and the whole Duelist Kingdom thing started to save Yugi's grandpa. Hiko did go along to help the game, but also he was invited out there to sort of get reports of Duelist Kingdom for the school paper. So, because I was in journalism in real life in high schools at that time, so yeah, I kind of put that in there. So he got to film a lot of the duels with his camera and stuff like that, and get reports on them. And as with Julie sort of I think from what I remember, it started off where she was had to stay behind with Mokuba when Kaiba was feeling all depressed. He was feeling all depressed about his loss to Yugi. Because one thing about it, like I say, and people, especially particular people of a particular parody series, actually decided they would make fun of this along with a lot of other things with this whole parody series. But yeah, one of the things was they made fun of Kaiba's depression, as well as later on, when he dueled Yugi on the roof of Duelist Kingdom, the whole suicide thing. Yeah. See, this is why that's like I said. Yes, there is humor in the show, and I get everybody gotta laugh, but Yeah, the thing is, this reason this was not meant to be something to, especially looking back on, if to really understand the lore of different things in this show. Seto, according, you dig deeper into that history, even deeper, like the mangas, season zero anime, and deep information in general. Gozaboro, when Seto had won the Kaiba Corporation company from Gozaboro, from his stepdad, Gozaboro was like, okay, you win, but son, let me show you what happens to the loser. Say that. Let me show you what happens to the loser if you should ever lose like I did, and killed himself. So that's kind of that's sort of what's the understanding that Seto got, that if he ever lost, yeah, he pretty much had no reason to go on with his life. And yeah, like I say, that was instilled from his stepfather. And also, yeah, the fact of, he was not only just losing as far as the company, because to be fair, he did try to fight to get his company back. He was, yeah, he wasn't taking that line down. But yeah, the fact, on top of that, it was his little brother Mokuba. The fact of, not having a chance to get Mokuba back after Pegasus had stole his soul. So yeah, kind of a serious notion there to the hee hee people that think that's funny. So just had to make that clear. So with Julie, yeah, she was told to stay behind when he went off, pretty much, kind of to find himself, stuff like that, existential crisis. And well, Julie did stay for a while, but then eventually at some point, she took off. Uh, I think, say, we're not completely sure by memory uh, what exactly happens for her leaving and stuff like that, but I do know at some point she did get to do his kingdom, as well as also coming up, joining up with Yugi in the gang, as they were, journeying around, getting their 10 star chips and stuff. Uh, and then, of course, we all know what originally happened, because it plays out in the role play. Kaiba's, Pegasus comes over for that board meeting. Mokuba is taken hostage. And then, of course, they come after Seto, who jumps out the window. Say, on your feet, Mr. Kaiba. And then, of course, pretty much know what happens there. Evil Kaiba, real Kaiba comes through to help him, and other duels ensue. So they got all the 10. So Julie was kind of with them. Um, I know at some point before they duel Bakura for the first time, the evil Bakura, because she ended up in there as her favorite card, the Celtic Guardian. That was Casey's favorite card back then. Might still be, you know. I know back then my favorite card was Neo the Magic Swordsman, and then a little bit later when Battle City came, it became Mahavilo because I got introduced to that card. Um, I think, yeah, before Taya even used it in the virtual world, uh, which, yeah, I think that's what you call Mahavilo. Yeah. So yeah, and especially that special ability. I know one of my friends from college was like, really likes that Mahavilo card too. Like, I want my Mahavilo. So yeah, cause she always liked to, when we used to duel each other, she always liked to put Acts of Despair on it there, give it 1000 points and that extra 500 boost, which makes it 50 points, which could even beat a Blue Eyes White Dragon by 50. So anyway, so yeah, Julie, pretty much Duelist Kingdom plays out as it is. Um, the duel between Yugi and Kaiba, of course, that was kind of where Seto discovered that Julie was with them. Um, she ended up going inside the castle with Seto after the duel, and of course, Mai showed up, and the whole thing with her and Taya to kind of snap Yugi out of it a little bit. He still kind of was having that, still was going through a little thing mental, but he did come through enough to accept the star chest for them to at least get into the castle. Um, at that point, and there's one thing you always say. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you think people maybe done got over stuff, and it kind of seems that way. Sometimes the person themselves even think that they've gotten over something, but yes, then sometimes um, you ever had like a reoccurring pain, like I just recently had with the whole thing. Was it? Oh yeah. Well, actually, no. It was another incident. Um, when I was a while back ago, it was a while back because it was before I even got married. I was still living with my mom there, but I was at working at Kroger though, and I had a really bad flu bug and had to stay home, especially by note, not just because of that, but also by note of the doctor, and they gave me a certain time to come back to work. I actually started feeling better before that time. I was like, Mom, I go back to work now. She said, No, just you like, no, but Mom, no, Gabe. And sure enough, a day or two later, it was still still on that time that I had to stay home. It kind of came back. Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah. Sometimes stuff that we go through mentally can be like that. We think we might be over something, and then all of a sudden it come back, like especially traumas and stuff like that. Like what they call the reoccurring traumas. You being saw something that really terrified you, and then suddenly, something similar to that incident just all of a sudden bring flashes it back to you out of nowhere. Sort of like Iron Man 3 with PTSD there. Yeah. So yeah, that can kind of happen there. So of course, go into the castle, Kaiba versus Pegasus, and in reaction to Pegasus defeating Kaiba, Julie had kicked the wall and making a dent in it. And of course, you had the outburst from Yugi. Uh, then of course the finals, and then Yugi versus Pegasus, and of course we get Kaiba and Mokuba back and reunited with Julie. Um, and it went on to Battle City. Also kind of played out like it did, but with a few additions. Some of the additions was that Julie was in Battle City without Seto noticing, um, and she also had a deck known as the Cyber Dragons, which of course we know Zane would have that deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Later, this was something that Casey kind of put in our later role play, sort of I guess you say, like sometimes when you revamp stuff, sort of a revamp to the role play where, because of course both me and Casey had different cards for our characters as far as their decks and stuff like that in our role plays, but in a little bit of revamping, looking back on those role plays, Casey was like, well, maybe Julie would have the cyber deck with the cyber dragons and stuff like that, and later in GX, that's what would inspire Zane to have that kind of deck because he's they sort of takes after Julie Kaiba, they kind of like her style, which role play, and even if this was actually part of if this was canon with Yu-Gi-Oh, make a lot of sense considering Zane's character, especially in season one. Now, I know, yeah, he did go to the dark side because of that. He had lost some duels, and yes, his promoters and stuff was really hard on him. I mean, they just turned on him, like hey, we ain't supporting you no more. You lose for that Aster kid. So then the whole underground duel and stuff like that, but yeah, like I say, and would have been nice if Zane. Yeah, I really bad that Zane, you know, died at the end of season three like that. It was not, yeah, because he was kind of trying to redeem himself a little bit, even kind of make amends with his brother Cyrus and the other students there. And obviously they were pretty devastated by this even Crowler and all that. So yeah, that was really sad to lose Zane. But yeah, overall, before that happening to him, yeah, he actually because I always thought like him and Chaz were like Seto Kaiba split into two personalities. Like Zane is pretty much like the power level of Kaiba. Chaz, not saying that Chaz isn't strong, because trust me, he does. He has his own kind of strength. Especially in like season 2 and 3. But and even when he comes back, after the school duel. But as far as being Kaiba like, yeah, he's when he started off in the series, he sort of had more of that arrogance of Kaiba to the max. Yeah, yeah, it was pretty much like that. But yeah, I guess you could say Zane's more like Juli Kaiba, because Juli Kaiba's sort of like that. She got the power of Seto, but she's not arrogant like Seto though. Yeah. Mm. So yeah, she had the Cyber Dragon stuff like that. Um, then of course, there was the Battle City Finals, and also she made up her own Egyptian god card called Sayaru, not Sayaku. There was I think yeah, might have to yeah, put in the comment section case of how you pronounce that Egyptian god card you made up. Cause I think she may have also used that like maybe in a different version of it as an additional legendary dragon in the Doma arc there, in addition to the three legendary dragons. And I had also made up a legendary dragon called Vasuki. So yeah, that was so it would be five of them instead of three. But yeah, definitely putting that because they can, or either probably still could do that, but also let me know because yeah, that then plus I would hear how it's pronounced there because I know there was a dragon, um, similar with that similar name. I'm just trying to make sure which pronunciation was which. But Bandy Keith had something like that when he was mind controlled by Merrick. Um, so yeah, plays out. You got the finals of Battle City, and Julie was not the only. In addition with Julie in the finals, there was also myself in the finals, and also two other duelists, just kind of at random, kind of based off a couple of classmates of mine from middle school. So, yeah, that was that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So then, of course, then of course the virtual world arc. Noah and his thing. All the different secrets of Seto and Mokuba, and probably even probably there was a few of Julie. Um, and then of course, the final that was the semifinals, virtual world, then the finals, then of course Yugi versus Merrick and stuff like that, and of course the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. Uh, Yeah, one thing definitely share. I really wanted to see that in the theater when it came out, but it came out August 13th, and that was a Friday, and that following Monday school started. Plus, and it's like, well, Gabe, you can still go see it the last, check it out the weekend right before you go back to school. Yeah, I definitely wanted to. You would think I would, but like I say, 16 at the time, didn't have my own car or anything, and on top of that, my mom, being a school teacher, was trying to get some final things done in the classroom that Friday. Plus Saturday, had youth rehearsal at the church, and then she tried to squeeze in more things with the classroom, and of course, Sunday's out of the question because where we're gonna be at Sunday at the church. Plus, there was a program after the regular service. It's like, yeah, and missed. So yeah, and of course, grandparents were busy too. So yeah, and and you might also think, well, why didn't you ask to go with? Because what about Casey? I didn't think about that. As a You would probably be right, but I didn't think of that at the time. And even if I did, it would have been kind of last minute because, like I say, I was trying to get my folks to take me. at the time of, but and this was back before, I don't know how it is in other places. It may be the same, but I know here in Shreveport we got the whole Cinemark thing where you can reserve seats. Matter of fact, kind of have to do that now because a lot of people do it. It's not because when I think there were cases where people may have done that in the past, but it wasn't quite so big. So a lot of people would just they get there, buy their ticket, and then just have to sit wherever. But now now it's pretty much mandatory to get reserved seats in advance because now they even trying to they got to keep track of like how many are sitting in the movie there, so it won't be like because there's probably some out there are probably some cases where we've come in there and you know how sometimes it'd be hard to find back in the day it'd be like hard to find a seat and stuff, especially depending on who all was in there and where they were sitting at. And don't get me started if you came in there like you and maybe your folk like had some brothers and some sisters and some of y'all best friends and y'all want to try to all sit together and stuff like that. Yeah, sometimes you have to sit separately and all that. So yeah, see now that's why so that's one advantage of the reserved seats. Yeah, they can really kind of help prevent the whole coming in there and I can't find no seat. Cause see now you already know. Hey, I got my ticket. I got my reserved seat, so we know where to sit. So, but yeah, didn't have that back then, and yeah, that was oh boy. Um, Speaking of which, Case and I actually did have gone to some movies together. There was Daddy Daycare. That was the first one I think we went to together. But both our moms took us. Still in high school, and then other one was um, it was one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I definitely was having because I had to actually find where her and her I think her and her folks were with her. I'm not sure who all was with her, but I know some of her folks and some of her friends were with her. And it was like, hey, over here, over here. Yeah. Then I know the last time that Kate and I went to a movie, it was actually um, her, her dad, and both me and Christina. We had all of us were in there together. There even we went to see the first Doctor Strange movie. Yeah, so and actually that one just sort of happened by coincidence. That actually was not playing there. It just so happened Christina and I came at the movie theater at the exact same time Case and her dad did and was like, well, hey, let's go in. Um, so yeah, so back with Julie. Yeah, we didn't get to that movie. So movie pretty much plays out obviously as it does there. And also and then of course you had the Domar Grand Prix and all that. There was a little bit of role playing with the Doma arc, I will admit, because there was, like I say, with the dragons, we made up our own dragons. Um, but I think we sort of our viewership of the Doma arc the first time around. Now I've gone back and actually seen all the 5 seasons straight through. Doma Grand Prix and all that. I've even recently seen the Capsule Monsters thing. Um, and obviously that came out after the Yu-Gi-Oh series had ended, but now they put it in like if you get a Yu-Gi-Oh DVD of all the seasons, you Capsule Monsters come between the Grand Prix and Millennium World. So they sort of added it on. But yeah, seen all of that. But yeah, the first time Waking the Dragons came out, yeah, we saw up to the Mai episode where she was with the Orange Catholics, and I actually understand why that happened to her. I don't like it, obviously, because after what happened in previous season, but I actually understand why. And yes, and like okay, wow, okay, she was really feeling that way, and even from both English and Japanese versions. Japanese really kind of opened up the understanding, but even from the English dub, it's kind of there if you really pay attention to some things. Like, they say read between the lines and some things, especially even before that, like, in Battle City, because she mentions a lot about the trauma with Merrick, of course. When he sent her to the Shadow Realm and stuff, and how helpless she felt. Um, and I would imagine a lot of that probably screwed with Mai's mind, because yeah, I mean, shadow magic stuff like that. And remember what I said, earlier about sometimes a person has a trauma, and like you think, oh, okay, well they're over their trauma now, everything's cool, and even the person themselves, you know, feel like yeah, I'm doing better now, yeah, it's all right. Even the person themselves truly will believe that they are over it, but then, like I say, something later happens that all of a sudden just flashes it back. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my goodness, yeah. It, like I say, that happens in reality too, to people. So, yeah, if you think of it that way, yeah, a lot. My story is not that far fetched there. Like it's again, now you might obviously you probably won't like it. That's understandable, but at least like I did looking back on it, you would at least you have an understanding of why, and kind of be more understanding to the situation, and be able what as they try to get through to her and stuff. So um I'm I'm sorry to be going off. Okay, come back to Julie. I was like me and Case when we did that Bumblebee review on my other channel, Miracle channel. And she had to bring me back a couple of times. Like back to Bumblebee, back to Julie. Da, 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 da. So anyway, with so yeah, we have made up a couple of other dragons, or 5 dragons now. We were Case and I were watching it kind of on and off some after the whole thing with Mai and stuff. Few times, like I say, we did sort of role play a little bit more to it. Just kind of varied. I know there was one point where my character Hiko sort of like yeah, because of that sort of all of a sudden he went to the Orichalcos because of there was another Orichalcos member I added in there that dueled Hiko and defeated him, and he ended up going into the Orichalcos, and next thing you know, Julie tried to get through to him and ended up getting defeated by Hiko, costing her soul. A lot of them were mad at Hiko about this. He did come to himself, but yeah, but it took a while to sort of kind of sort of like Dinobot and Rat Trap when Dinobot had this, as Rat Trap say, oh Chopper Face here decided to play Predacon again. Is this true, Dinobot? I'm afraid he's right. And it took them a while to kind of patch that up a little bit there. But it was kind of the same with Hiko's case, especially between him and Taya. Yeah, because like I said, role played him and Taya being a thing, um, as well as also the Kaiba brothers. Obviously, they were probably the most ticked. So and then of course they get everybody's soul back. Everything else after that played as it was. Cause we never really did watch the Grand Prix or Millennium World back then. Yeah, that was something that kind of came back and watched later. Um, yeah, like recently now, looking through all like bench watching Yu-Gi-Oh there, because of yeah different things going on after that Wake of the Dragon season. Yeah, so on and so on. Other just kind of yeah, just we didn't really get to see Millennium War and all that. A few things with Julie back in the Yu-Gi-Oh roleplay. We actually had like some times where we back we had AOL Instant Messenger and all that, where we'd be talking to each other as the characters, doing stuff over the Instant Messenger, as well as talking on the phone too. We did both. Yeah. Sometimes we be on Case and I be on the phone while doing the Instant Messenger, because sometimes we on the Instant Messenger we be typing at certain things as the characters while talking about it on the phone, almost like a commentary of our instant messages. So as well as Yu-Gi-Oh, as well as other things too, other animes like DBZ. She had a character called Seta, um, and Inuyasha she had a character called I think it was Hikari, um, or maybe in Yuki. I know there was one where she had the character Hikari. Maybe Hikari was an Inuyasha. Yeah, let me know in the comments which one. I know there was a Hikari and a Yuki character. I do know that, but one of them was in Inuyasha and the other was in Sayuki. Um, and then of course even shows like Shaman King and stuff like that. Um, a few other things with Yu-Gi-Oh. In some of those role plays, sometimes we just talk to each other as the characters, not so much going on an adventure or anything, but sometimes just chit chatting, like my character talking with Taya about asking her out and stuff like that. As for that, of course, Casey has some crushes in these different animes, especially Yu-Gi-Oh. Her character Juli Kaiba, the first character that she was paired with was of course Yugimoto, the same way my character Hiko was with Taya. So it was the Yugimoto x Juli Kaiba, and yeah, at the time we did that, we didn't really. I mean, we knew a little bit about Seto Kaiba, but we didn't know like a whole lot, other than how his involvement in the show in the first season to his kingdom. While we were still watching it before Battle City and all that came out. So we kind of took it like, well, he's just serious, But that from what we had gathered, watching ourselves, and only thing we came up with was that I remember was Yugi. He asked Julie out. Then he was like, you have to see if that's okay with my brother. And he's like, hey Seto, or hey, or well, I think Mokuba's about the only one that calls him Seto. Most of the others just call him Kaiba. He's like, Kaiba. He's like, what? I was just wondering, if it's okay to take your sister Julie out. What? Okay. Yeah, that was pretty much the most we came up with. And yeah, they go on a date and stuff like that. So, yeah, there was that, and then we had that was a funny. There was some other role play stories too. And one of which Interrupt Joey from Harker Brothers. Kind of made me think of Don't Wake Daddy. Yeah, it was pretty much Joey trying to trying to message Casey while she was out as Julie. She was out of town at that time, and he kept getting interrupted by everybody. Um, Also, speaking of Joey, there was a time where we tried to do Joey X Julie. The first time around, that did not go so well, and there was a bit where he was trying to ask her out, and we just started going at random here. Julie poops away by snapping her fingers, um, and there was all kind of hijinks ensuing. Yeah, so yeah, and yeah, I have to mention this. Yeah, like I say, SpongeBob and Patrick came into play, and yeah, just to note, Casey's not too fond of SpongeBob. Just saying. So, yeah, I do, but that's not her cup of tea. Um, just isn't. Some people say. Um, so yeah, you can imagine. Yeah, role plays. I'm trying like, well, can we role play SpongeBob sometime? Yeah, that didn't go over so well. And this, and yeah, the incident with this kind of proves it. Like, yeah, it was SpongeBob. They did some really crazy stuff. Too, and it just got really crazy. Yeah, I would go into detail, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm because yeah, especially Casey listening to this. Yeah, I'm going to spare that. So, Yeah. No. Anywho, we had there was that. It was other random moments we would sometimes just have with the characters and stuff like that. And then um, and then of course some of the other stuff Julie was character was used in. Of course, had Teen Titans. Yes, as Raven's sister, Swordgirl. That's where we first brought into play Julie, aka Swordgirl. Um, also with Yu-Gi-Oh, there were times when we role played Julie as Juli Yukoshi instead of Julie Kaiba, where yeah, like what we're using here in Yumeko, Juli Yukoshi. But of course not no relation to the to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, but the Yu-Gi-Oh version of Juli Yukoshi. Of course, she had her brother Tim Yukoshi, um, and with that, it was Juli Yukoshi X Seto Kaiba sometimes since they weren't related in this version. So there was a time where they was a thing. It was something. A lot of stuff pretty much played out like with the Juli Kaiba universe, with a few differences because of that. And um, I think in that version, Juli Yukoshi kind of had like a business deal with Pegasus or something like that. Because Yukoshi Corp, because she even had her own corporation, the Yukoshi Corp, which was a toy company. That's another thing that we're bringing into Yumeko. Um, then else was it? Oh yeah, some of the other shippings that Julie has had, a couple of other shippings Julie has had, was her. There was one with her and Merrick, the good Merrick, and there was also one with Duke Devlin. And then, of course, now this one I think sticks out the most. This one I think is probably the best uh, Julie pair up. Her and Bakura. Yes, Bakura I think is like the best one, the good Bakura, that she was paired up with. Nothing against her and Yugi. I'm not saying that, but I just think, but in my opinion, that Bakura was the best one, and that's kind of another thing. When she came up with the character Julius, and trying as kind of working with him in this Yumeko series, that's sort of who I'm thinking would kind of that he would kind of resemble. That Julius would kind of be a little bit of resemblance to Bakura, a little bit. Um, Also, the thing with Julius in Yu-Gi-Oh! Role plays, he was most like a lot of time before they even went to Millennium World, they mentioned about flashbacks with ancient Egypt and stuff like that, and we kind of came up with some of our own take on that, and we had like an Egyptian version of Julie, where she had a love. The ancient Julie had a love interest back then, who was named Julius, and Julius was sometime allied with Tomb Robber Bakura, so uh, that was kind of the first mentioning of that there. Um, so, as with the Teen Titans, yeah, I would say Julie, she was Raven's sister, kind of had similar powers to her, but with swords and stuff. And of course, my character, Star Striker, for the first time was Robin's brother. Now, that's what I remember me saying, but I don't think I really thought much of how logical that would be, considering the only time we've actually seen Dick Grayson with a brother was in Batman Forever. So and even there, he died along with Robin's parents. So yeah, not sure how that would play out. But yeah, that was pretty much just like and how the Titan series originally plays out, but with our characters in addition to it. Um, there was I think another version of Julie. Excuse me. In the Batman series that came out in 2004, that was supposed to be either I think related to Bruce or Alfred, and but instead of becoming Sword Girl, she became known as Shadow Fox. She might have possibly had a different name, but yeah, there was that. Of course, Shadow Fox would at some point become Night Fox. Yeah, Night Fox. So yeah, like what Naomi is going to become in Yumeko, Night Fox. And there was also another one called Silent Fox that was role playing in Rurouni Kenshin. So yeah, the foxes have gone around quite a bit, like Julie. Um, then of course, here's very good. Uh, there was some brief moments of role play with Static Shock. He had a couple of characters in there. One character was the sister of a Nazi, and the other was a Jumper from the Jumper movie. Um, so then, so yeah, there was some other stuff we role played in. Then of course came the creation of the Star Striker series. Um, that in that Sword Girl, she was introduced, aka Juli Yukoshi, excuse me. And in that, when she was first introduced, she was attacking an Applebee's out of anger because of the passing of her parents from years ago. Star and Target tried to stop her, but the battle did not go in their favor. They were able to retreat, and Sword Girl ended up finding out their secret identities, and then fought with them again at their school. Um, and just when she was about to finish them, she was stopped by Daredevil because Casey was a big fan of Daredevil, so we just put him in there for her. uh, and he was immune to psychic powers. Okay. We're just going to move along with that. not question that any further. So yeah, he's immune to psychic powers. It just is. Apparently Daredevil has that ability. And also he's in Shreveport and just chilling out there. Uh, Julie ends up becoming weakened by her fight with Daredevil. Then, of course, she's brought to Daredevil's mansion here in Shreveport now instead of New York. Um, she's revealed her real name is Juli Yukoshi, like what all happened to her, and then eventually, she this did sort of start working with Star and Target. There was a moment where she even had another solo battle with a combination of Venom and Carnage fused together, blowing them away with the Sword Star, which was by combining all five of her swords together with psychic energy, and yeah, pretty much slaughtering the symbiotes there. Yep. So then, and it goes along. Excuse me. Goes, Bubble Girl and Phantom X showed up. With Phantom X, aka Calvin Wayne, he was meant to be uh, when his first appearance. Julie was dating him as Calvin, and when she kissed him for the first time, kiss goodnight, he ended up getting superpowers. He just did. He was able to control shadows like Ebon. Yeah, an explanation of why that was written this way, because after the introduction of Sword Girl and then kind of writing a few other episodes, Case and I got, because remember I mentioned Star Trek and Target were based off of Static and Gear. Um, Eventually we was like, well, why don't we make our own kind of like Teen Titan style thing? So Sword Girl, well, we had Sword Girl, I had three of them. So it's like, well, okay, well, we need at least five. So Star Striker's love interest Angela became Bubble Girl, which of course later we all know is Bubblina with a different from Christina. So of course Angela, this time around the Yumeko series won't, she'll be becoming a different identity, of course. Um, then of course we need the fifth member of the last episode of Star Striker and Target, right before the Dream League series, and it was just, "Hi, I'm Calvin Wayne. I'm dating Julie. I got superpowers from when she kissed me, and now I'm gonna be Venom X, and we'll all fight against this ancient Egyptian curse that just came to life in the museum. Now with the Dream League." Yeah, as Deadpool say, that's kind of lazy writing. But then again, to be fair, we were teens back then, just sort of coming up with this stuff, and read it. So yeah, like I say, a lot of our story ideas now are a lot better because, like I say, we've learned a lot of different things as far as delivering stories and stuff. So yeah, that was that. Dream League series plays out like it was. There was a moment in there where they got like these super modes, and Swordgirl had like the Supreme Sword mode. Then then there was this in the Heroes of Dream series had sort of a dark version of it, but it never got published. Where Swordgirl actually wasn't trying to hunt down the world and stuff. She was on the run from some hunters. They were the ones responsible for killing her parents in this version. Uh, they were hunting any psychics or like the Jumpers. I guess you could say we took kind of a page from the Jumper movie. And one of them, of course, well, a couple of them was Tracker and his little brother Target. So yeah, that version, yeah, Target was a bounty hunter, pretty much like the other hunters, and yeah, so it kind of Star Striker kind of was trying to get them, and Sword Girl just kind of like hey, let's stop, and yeah, and sort of back off one another. Um, but then the published Heroes of Dreams had oh yeah, published Heroes of Dreams, Heroic Dream Begins, Star Striker, Right on Target. Uh, Sword Girl came in book number 3, and in that, now she wasn't just attacking people at random. She was after the Pacific ones who were responsible for killing her parents, which were running this restaurant called the Napa Kappa. Turns out it was her uncle that did it, sort of like how Scar killed Mufasa. But then found out even more so that his son killed him. Yikes! That's so much for not being dark. So yeah, so there was a big battle between her and her cousin now, Kyoji, who was also known as Kappa Blade. Will be adapting that into Yumeko. Um, Big battle between them. She, of course, defeats them despite her being severely injured from earlier with the Kappa ninjas and stuff. And how she defeats them is with the psychic sword. One of her swords breaks, but she's able to form a blade out of psychic energy and pretty much blow Kappa Blade away. Uh, and the prize is the amulet of the strongest samurais. Um, then of course go into the other Heroes of Dream books and such. Book 10, she met Naomi, who was AKA the Night Fox, of course, and sort of helped out in over there. Um, and also in the anniversary book and on after that. Um, so yeah, there was that her intervention in Heroes of Dreams, and then we never did get her in the Star Striker series, but um, book number 7 that never got published or completed. To be that never really got completed or wrote out or even illustrated, but the idea was for her to appear in book 7 of the Star Strikers comic series to help and starring Diva Slave would help her against this enemy that was after her and her brother. So there was that. Um, Excuse me again. It's pretty early. So upon that, then of course there was the Brown Chronicles series where Julie was briefly introduced in that, and of course she became Sword Girl to help save Hiko from Yandan, and well, kind of help Brownie rescue him there. Um, so that was that, and she was being uh, got Zayden constantly was flirting with her and stuff. Yeah. So then, of course, Yumeko, she's introduced again, having both her psychic powers as well as her sword skills. Her brother Tim is with her. Now, only thing is she isn't going by the Sword Girl title yet. Um, However, so now with the Yumeko novels, um, at some point she is going to, go by that name. She's still, still Juli Yukoshi. It's sort of like Black Widow in the Avengers. A lot of times she was called Natasha, but then they did say Black Widow sometime, as well as like Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, and stuff like that. Sort of like that kind of thing. So because back in Heroes of Dream, she even had a mask on, like the traditional superheroes. But one thing Casey said, I think after Brown Chronicles, is that yeah, not to. I think with the Star Striker series, she said, "Nah, I don't want to do the whole mask thing there on Swordgirl." So pretty much unmasked there. Cause you got some heroes that are like that. It's all good. So yeah, there was all of that, and let's see, Yumeko, as I mentioned about that. Um, and now here with like I say, the novel series that's about to begin. So, yep. So, like I say, yeah, definitely be hearing her involvement in the series there. Probably may have heard some already, but yeah, definitely be hearing about that, as well as her brother Tim. Like I said, there wasn't really much on Tim, especially as I thought there would be. But like I say, it was a lot of his history is linked with Julie. Um, Julius as well. Yeah. As well as pretty much linked with say linked with Julie and Melina. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. But quick little thing to mention. Didn't really have much of anything as far as to mention about Melina before now. So yeah, there definitely would be more about her in the series. Yeah, as far as character and involvement in the story. Uh, she was act the reason she was created for the series. Um, yeah, there's gonna be she's a childhood friend of Tim, and there's a chance of her and Tim being a thing later in the series. Originally, it was going to be I think back in Brown Chronicles. Originally, um, from Brown Chronicles, it was going to carry over into Tim and Naomi. But things had kind of changed, started to change, and then there was the whole thing of when made Naomi autistic, and it was like, and it was like, what? Because then I thought of because I got my character Hiko with ADHD. It's like they would actually make a good couple, and I asked Casey about it, and he was like, okay, that'd be cool. And then I asked, okay, I said, well, okay, if we do this, what about Tim? I know you had her and him and Naomi. So, well, I mean, what are we gonna do about that? She said that's okay. I got one of my other characters I can pair up with him. So, yeah, so that's how Melina came into the fold there, and yep. So now, yeah, pretty much what's about to happen with Yumeko. Uh, so that's pretty much it with the history, especially mostly Julie, yeah, and with the additions of Tim and a little bit on Tim and a little bit on Julius and the mention of Melina, and yeah, did a lot better with this video. I actually did this before. I actually had did another of this before, but it was really long. Much like one of my Kroger Force videos, it was really long, about like a couple hours, I think, close to that. And not only just the fact of it being lengthy, but yeah, there was some yeah, there was some things that was said in there, and I was like, nah, I think I want to say that a little differently. So this is pretty much a second take on my history of Julie video. Y'all don't know that, but you know now. But yeah, the second take on Julie video a little bit more condensed there. And there definitely will be some more information on characters and everything in later videos. Um, Also, thing I want, something I want to announce. I may be doing it. I plan to. It's a possibility that I might do a my own. Because I'm almost done watching Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. I had checked it out the library last Monday, a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, because a lot of people would hate on it. There's I wanted to see what's good is in the series, and actually I've actually been enjoying the series, so I would definitely. I'm almost done with it. Like the last few episodes there, and I might possibly do a little talk on. And the reason why I would do this is because it kind of reminds me of some of the things I've written for Kroger Force. So yeah, yeah, I might possibly do that. Yeah, just letting you know, might there's a possibility. Um, as for now, that's all we got. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. You know, definitely get some of our available books. Be on the look, and we'll be announcing when the Yumeko novel comes in. Also, definitely support us on that Patreon, like EJ the Supreme, and make sure you also give us a little super thanks on these different videos at any time. And we will see y'all in the next video. Take care, everybody.